Hello, I'm Rabyd, otherwise known as the Rabid Atheist, a former pastor turned atheist, now compassionate anti-theist. Welcome to my channel. Feel free to like or dislike this video as you see fit, so feel free to hit those buttons. Feel free to comment below, and I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel and hit your notification bell for more content as it is released. You're also free to share my videos as much as you like. The purpose of this channel is educational in regards to atheist and deconversion issues and other issues related to those issues, Bible, theology, politics, philosophy, or whatever else I think is appropriate given the news or current situation in the world. Today I'm being a little bit, I guess, lazy as far as finding a topic because we're going to talk about me. Mostly frequently asked questions that get asked to me now. The source of these questions isn't just the comments in the video thing. I get asked these questions away from the camera and away from the channel by friends and coworkers from time to time. So, but, you know, some of the more obvious things as well that I'm going to deal with. The first and almost question is always, why the rabid atheist? And isn't it, I would follow up with a question, isn't it a little bit of a misnomer? Because rabid usually implies, you know, foaming at the mouth crazy people, given the name, but it's actually a play on my last name. That's why I always open, I'm Ed Rabyd, always also known as the Rabid Atheist. But the word rabid is spelled R-A-B-Y-D, and my last name is spelled R-A-B-Y. And we've gotten the jokes as a family over the year, here come the rabies and things like that. You know, I've made jokes about that. My mother, when I was born, I guess she worked at the hospital, so her co-workers had, you know, helped stamp out rabies, that sort of thing. And so it was kind of, it's always been kind of one of those fun things that we've done as a family, and I've learned to use it. I don't know if these blogs still exist, but I was the rabid theologian for a while. So rabid is kind of the thing that I worked with. I actually debated the name of this channel because I did want to delve into politics. So there was other things that I wanted to do. But in the end, I settled on the Rabid Atheist, making a play on my last name. Why did you start the channel? I'm going to be honest. I started it mostly because I had a desire to be an atheist advocate and an activist. And I felt that YouTube was a good way to get my message out there while at the same time maintaining a little bit of privacy and anonymity into my life. You open yourself up when you get on YouTube, but you also have the ability to control what's on your channel. So if you don't like something, you can always delete it and get rid of it. But I had some other personal motivations. As far as money goes, I'm very well aware if this makes me money, it's going to mean that I got popular, and I don't care about that. I don't mind it. If it happens, it happens. It doesn't, it doesn't. But I tell you, if there's a group of people that need help, a lot of times it's people who have deconverted from faith into non-faith, and they don't always get a chance to discuss the issues that face them or have somebody speaking for them. And so I become that kind of person to speak for people who have deconverted from Christianity, Islam, whatever, into atheism or some kind of free thinking position, you know, agnosticism, even pagans. I'll take the side of pagans on occasion, because usually pagans don't go around trying to harm people, and they don't try to control people either. It's kind of interesting, but that's kind of my motivations. I've told this story many times. If I can convince one young person who's thinking about going into the ministry or career not to do it, I'll consider this channel worth it. Because, you know, go do something else for a while. Go do, you know, a real job for a while. And I don't, after 20 years in the ministry, I don't have a problem criticizing my former profession as not real. What's your educational background? I have 2 bachelor's degrees and 1 master's degree. I have a bachelor's degree in biblical studies and ministry from Trinity Bible College in Ellendale, North Dakota. I have a master's degree. That one I received in 1993. I received in 1996, I received my Master of Arts degree in theological studies from Asbury Theological Seminary in Wilmore, Kentucky. And more recently, I have a BS degree in political science. And yes, I smile every time I say that. with minors in economics and international business attached to that. So I know a little bit about those subjects, although I don't have a degree in them. And that I received in fall of 2018. So my educational background is varied. Also, all kinds of various trainings I've got working for my employer and experience along that line. What is your church background? I grew up as a Pentecostal, Assemblies of God Pentecostal, from the time my earliest memories are beginner class with the Noah's Ark thing on the wall, to growing up in the same church pretty much until I left. Went to Bible college, went to seminary when I was young after I got married. Then ended up kind of wandering around, and then when I was 28, 29, I finally got my first job in the ministry as an associate pastor of Christian education. So when I talk about indoctrination, I kind of know what I'm talking about. And then I pastored 2 churches in the Assemblies of God throughout the early new millennium, and then I left that, and in 2008, I became the pastor of a non-denominational independent church. It's a congregational church. It's non-Pentecostal. It was more of they wanted to be independent, so they weren't connected to anybody, but they had been former Church of Christ. That's kind of my background in church, being a pastor, doing things I do, but it's a long 40-year involved in Christianity, in ministry, and being a pastor. You're an atheist, yet you wear pagan symbols. Why? Most of my pagan symbols and my paganism, I've often jokingly referred to myself as a pagan atheist. It's because I have learned to take the meat of paganism out and spit out the bones. Like, I really think there's a meat of virtue and ethics there. And the symbolism is more a connection to my own heritage. When I got my genetics test back, I said, well, Jesus said, you're kind of a Northern European mutt, because I have Irish ancestry, Scottish ancestry, English ancestry, Welsh ancestry, Dutch, Bavarian, Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish. So it's like, damn, dude, you're kind of a genetic, concoction here of a lot of Northern European states. And the one thing that all that has in common is original backing in paganism and, Odin or Wotan or Woden, those guys. And so that's kind of where I headed. Plus, I've always found the image of a gray wanderer, wandering the world searching for truth, so Odin fits me as a character, and I identify with that character pretty well. So that's kind of where I is. So I wear the pagan symbols, but it also has become a great discussion starter. I lost track of the number of discussions at work I've had about faith because somebody wanted to know about the Thor's hammer around my neck. So, and they'd be like, do you really believe that? I said, no, not really, but I like the ethics of it. I like looking around at nature and trying to understand it, which is what a lot of paganism was, trying to come up with answers without science, but not being overly manipulative or controlling. What are some of the reasons for some of the things in your backgrounds? Well, that greatly depends on what you're talking about, I suppose. We'll start over with the Nuka Girl over here. I'm a big Fallout fan. Not huge, but I like playing the Fallout series. I also like the Skyrim series. Currently, I'm enjoying a couple of games, Crusader Kings 3, and the other one I'm enjoying is Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is very interesting for me because of the overt religious tones of that time period. And that game is very, very religious, realistic in its simulation of medieval life. So it's kind of, I really enjoy that. So I appreciate that. Then, of course, there's the 9 Noble Virtues above me, right above there. So, it's like when I first left theism, I said, I need a moral code. I need something to guide myself. And what is it that guides human beings, regardless of religion? It's usually virtue. And I found the 9 Noble Virtues. I like the list. I kind of review what I'm doing and some of the things I'm thinking based on the content of that list. This poster was just something I found that happened to have it. I'm sure there's better ones out there, but I kind of like it. I also have my degree from Ferris over my shoulder, my sarcasm sign, one of the friendly services I offer, my ravens, which is a piece of artwork I just bought because I really liked it. And it also goes with the wolves and ravens theme of my life. Below that is actually a decree that my kids got me for Christmas this year that I decided to put up. And apparently I'm now a Scottish lord as well. And I thought that was great. That's one of the best gifts I've ever received. And then, of course, I have my 2 mugs. One is a cup from a wedding of my best friend. And it has the date on it. And the other one's my Michigan cup that I keep all my change in. There's a lot of copper there. It's probably worth some money eventually someday. My Celtic dragon and, of course, my Odin statue. And then going up is my stuffed animal Cromwell, which I've had forever. I don't know how long I've had that tiger, but it's been a while. It's probably one of those things. The reason I keep it, I can't remember when I got it, kind of thing. And then above them, of course, is the Don, Vito Corleone, and The Godfather, which this leads into one of my other frequently asked questions, my favorite movies and TV shows. But probably my favorite movie of all time is the original Godfather movie. I think there's a lot of mistakes in it, but it is so well acted that it's just beautiful. The guy who plays Vito Corleone, when he played Vito Corleone, he was much younger, but they did such a good job with makeup and stuff. And that's why he was able to do Godfather 2 as himself, because he just had to go backwards in time kind of thing. And when he was just starting to be the Godfather kind of thing. And so that's I really like the whole doing what you have to protect your family versus being a good human being, ethical, moral choices that happen in those movies. The real struggle to try to be a good person, but people just piss you off and you got to do what you need to do. It's a really good ethical question. That leads into my next question. What are some of your favorite movies, TV shows, things like that? I am an original Star Trek fan. I kind of sort of do the Next Generation on occasion. I'm one of the few people, I think, that actually liked Babylon 5 and really enjoyed it. I really enjoy that series. I like a lot of science fiction TV series because I think that's the best way to do science fiction. People ask me, I enjoy Star Wars, but I'm more of a realistic science fiction fan. So probably one of the more recent television shows that I enjoy was called The Expanse. I liked The Expanse until they got to the season where they went completely fantasy land. I really liked the realism of that series until they went fantasy land with it, with the whole, the weird thing that they discovered going, which was a nice plot device. And as a writer, I recognize that, but, I just didn't, there got to a point where I didn't like that much. Some people ask me about the Vikings TV show. Yeah, I have watched it. The problem is I've read so much about Norse mythology and religion and history that sometimes that TV show, I notice the details that are wrong, and then I just kind of go, okay. But I enjoy it. I do enjoy it. Has anyone ever given you crap for doing this channel? This was a question that was asked early on. I post this channel publicly. There is a Rabyd Atheist Facebook page. I don't advertise it very much. I guess I just did, but there is a Rabyd Atheist Facebook page. Just type in the Rabyd Atheist, you'll probably find it. I also do an author page for myself under Ed Ravy. And of course, my personal account. If you try to connect with me as a friend on my personal account, you better tell me who you are. Because my personal account is very, very personal. So, but has anybody ever given me crap for it? I know my family members are aware of it. And other than the Christians that come on here that think they have some new, unique argument that I haven't heard before, that I immediately strike down, no. My family is aware of it. For those that are still religious, they're very concerned about it. My friends that are very religious are concerned about it, but they never give me crap for it. Most of the time, I just keep waiting for somebody to give me something new and interesting to deal with as far as an argument for theism, and so far, no dice. Going into some other favorites, what's your favorite music artist? I think this came from Sweaters and Harmony, one of my favorite names on the internet. I am very eclectic in my musical tastes. I think that came from my early upbringing. Like, my earliest musical forms that I listened to was my mother's influence with classical music, Rachmaninoff, excuse me, various other artists like Beethoven, Bach, Brahms, Mozart, loved Mozart. But my father was more of a country boy. And this is country back in the 60s and 70s. So you're talking Johnny Cash and some of the others, Dolly Parton, those kind of people. That's what he played all the time. And I really like Johnny Cash, still do to this day. Some of the old, what I develop in my musical taste is basically harmony. I really like people that know how to blend things well and do good harmony and have multiple layers and things like that. That's probably why when I give a list of some of my favorite bands, they're very somewhat different in their approaches. Like, I love Boston because of the multi-layered guitar work. I love Metallica for the same reason. I love choral groups. I love pentatonics because of their multiple use of voices, and other groups like that. A cappella, I definitely enjoy listening to. But I can run the whole gambit from rap to country to whatever. If I like the sound of it, I'll probably listen to it. I'm also a sucker for sappy love songs. So, people are like, what the hell do you like? That's an old song. It's just sappy and stupid. And I'm like, well, yeah, but it's a nice sentiment. So I'm kind of like that. If I had a favorite artist, though, somebody that I go to on a go-to basis, it's probably Metallica. I guess Metallica, of all the bands I've listened to, has the one, it appeals to me the most. And it's because I think one of their greatest things they ever did is when they played with the orchestra and demonstrated that what metal really is very, fastly paced classical music. People ask me, do I listen to new stuff? Yeah, actually I do. It's how I became a fan of Disturbed. It's how I became a fan of a few other groups, some other new artists. I'm not into the business of musical snobbery. This music is better than that music. And probably because of my association with paganism, I've started to listen to some other pagan music from the television show Vikings and other places. Really like that earthy tone. So if it's good, I'll listen to it. Another similar one, what's your favorite literature author? If I'm going to sit down and just read something for enjoyment, it's probably a fantasy book or a science fiction book. I read other things because I want to be informed, so I don't necessarily have a favorite in that. I'm looking for somebody that just has good information. I've read a lot of Ayn Rand as an atheist. She's probably more in line with my philosophy, politically and things like that. Much more a libertarian atheist than anything else. But if you told me that I had to take the books of one author onto a desert island, I would say, well, give me everything Robert Heinlein's got. He's a classical science fiction writer, from the golden age of science fiction. A lot of his science predictions were off, mostly because he didn't see the invention of the transistor and the miniaturization of electronics. But other than that, he got a lot of things right. And it's funny because when you read him computing how long something is going to take in like a space ballistic terms, he's actually done the math. So it's not wrong. Okay. So it's like, and he never really writes about stuff he doesn't know about. And one of the most unique things about Robert Heinlein, he would never put his other than the science fiction settings. If he was on Earth, he would never put his characters into a town that he hadn't been to. So there's a lot of based in Kansas City and things like that, things with him. So it's kind of interesting. So he knows the local flavor. The other hobbies. Well, I weightlift as much as I can. Mostly I used to power lift for a little bit, and then I did bodybuilding for a while. But, as you can tell, because I'm such a tall guy, it's very difficult. And that was a hobby for a while. I still lift. I enjoy lifting. Like to walk, like to hike. Those are my outdoor activities, exercise stuff. But I'm also, as I mentioned before, a little bit of a PC gamer, from Skyrim to Fallout to I try a lot of games and things sometimes stick. And like I said, right now it's Crusader Kings 3 because I really like the medieval period and doing that sort of thing. And I also, right now, I'm playing Kingdom Come Deliverance because I find that game to be incredibly immersive. And that's what I'm looking for in a game is immersive. Can I feel like I'm there and making some of the same decisions? If there's any hobby that tends to rob me of more of my time than it deserves, it's PC gaming. So, few other channels, few other questions. Are there any rules for the channel? Only one. Don't engage in ad hominem personal attacks. It's a good way to get deleted, and if you keep doing it, it's a good way to get you blocked. This is one part where I think I'm better than a lot of other atheist YouTubers. I'm very selective in my pruning of comments. I don't delete your comment just because you had a comment, you cuss or anything, or get mad at somebody. What I'm trying to avoid is the people that are just toxic and all they got is, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're an idiot kind of comments, and worse. Keep it civil. That's all I ask. Pretend the other person that you're talking to is actually a person that you're sitting down with 5 feet away talking to. And would you make certain comments if that was the situation? That would clear up 90% of the shit on YouTube right there. Because I think people, one of the things psychologically that people do with the internet is you can kind of imagine that the person's a person, but maybe not. And so you don't treat them like they're really a person. I try to remember when I'm on the internet that I'm talking to other people. That I'm not just talking to a name and a profile. Okay, that there's another person behind that profile. All right. Do you have a YouTuber bucket list? Yes, I do. I would love to become a cartoon on Pelagia. I don't want my cartoon self would look like, but I would definitely like to appear on his show and suddenly be a cartoon avatar. I would love that. I suppose I could do that by being one of his Patreon supporters, but I love his work because he's well edited. He does, I don't edit and I'm shit when it comes to a lot of that technical stuff, but he does a really good job. He lays out his arguments really well. When he's attacked, he defends himself and he's very civil. He's a really good channel. Apology is a really good channel to, be a part of. I would love to be on Matt Dillahunty's talk, his show, The Atheist Experience. Radio is something I've thought about, but the whole having to answer on a fly is not uncomfortable to me on a personal level, emotional level. It's just I don't want to fuck it up and, answer something wrongly and then look like an idiot. But my long experience as a teacher in Sunday school and things like that, I think I could handle something like that. And I have a lot of good knowledge that a lot of the arguments I see on that show are pretty much stuff that I can do, and I've done it before. So that's that. I'd love to meet Vice Rhino. I'd love to meet Aaron Ra. Maybe Aaron Ra and I could talk. I mean, I think from an atheist advocate and education standpoint, me and Aaron Ra would have a lot to talk about because I too am very much, since becoming an atheist, I'm very pro sex ed in school because parents do a shit job of it. And that's why you have a lot of teenage pregnancy and stuff would be prevented if we just had realistic, sex ed. But also, I'm a big advocate for keeping fantasy out of public education and making sure that we're teaching things that are factually based, like evolution and Big Bang cosmology and things like that, what we know for sure. And science education is a big thing for me right now. It was a big thing when I was in school, and I wish now that I'd gone down that path. And if I can't go down that path now, at least I need to assist young people with encouraging them to go down that path. So those are some of them. There's others. I'd love to appear on Shannon Q, for instance, and talk deconversion and some of the emotional, mental shit that you have to go through to get there. So, that's probably my top 5. But any atheist YouTuber that wants me to have me on and talk to me and interview me, I'm shit with a lot of this technical stuff, but I'm sure I could work it out. I would trade my Bible and theology expertise for somebody to teach me something technical. I would do that. Do you have any future plans for the channel? This is the last question. Yes. When I hit 100 subscribers, I am seriously going to look into a Patreon account, PayPal system to help pay for my videos. I've asked people if I plan on monetizing this channel when I reach the goals. That's a long way off. I don't think I'm going to have the watch hours. You need 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers to monetize on YouTube now, which I'm like, holy shit. That's a high bar, to be quite honest, with a lot of channels. I mean, the watch hours is not going to be a problem. I'm already a quarter way there. But I'm only 10% of the way there for the number of subscribers, and that's why I keep, coming out there. But at 100 subscribers, I think I'm going to go Patreon. A lot of YouTubers, particularly atheist YouTubers, have complained that they get flagged a lot. Part of that is because they use content from other creators and there's copyright issues. But part of it is also, I think they flag us because we're controversial. Religion and in general is controversial, so you get flagged on that. So that's kind of where I live. If I'm going to get funded for this, I'm going to do it on the side outside of YouTube, not through YouTube as a medium. If I get to that point, that'll be great. Awesome. Thanks for the extra dough. And I really don't have the viewpoint that this is going to be an income source for me, at least not at present, other than maybe supplement. And pretty much at this point, all the money would go back into development of the channel, like getting the right software, getting the right hardware and things like that. So, the initial investments would always be back into the channel. But no. And I'm going to continue to do what I do. Probably the one thing that I'm changing, I may have to go back and redo some things. There's some earlier videos that I think have good content. I just didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So, and I'm getting better at that. I still don't know what the hell I'm doing half the time, but, there's definitely some call to redo some of the videos because I think the content and the questions were good. So I may redo some of those videos. Well, that's it for the frequently asked questions. This has run into 27 minutes at this point. So I think that's probably enough for anybody to endure and bear from me and my personal choices and proclivities. So once again, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate all of you. Like, share, subscribe, do the things that you need to do. And hopefully someday I can convince you to be a rabid atheist like myself. In the meantime, this is Rabyd, also known as the Rabid Atheist, signing off and wishing you a good day.